co-founder of a company called Earwax, and we offer international training in endoscopic earwax removal. In addition, if you're a member of the public in the UK who suffers from earwax and is trying to find a local specialist to help them, please do visit our website and you'll be able to enter your postcode and you'll have a list of all the local specialists who have enrolled onto our website. We have here an elderly client. He was very anxious, very nervous upon attending. It's the first time he's had his ears removed, quite fidgety, so I had to really relax him prior to starting the procedure. Starting off with the right ear, you can see the wax is very hard, very dry. It's obviously been there for many, many years. It's oxidized, turning from a pale brown colour to a very dark brown shade. The right ear itself was very straightforward actually. The wax wasn't fully occluding or fully impacted. You probably saw there a bit of remaining dead skin coating the ear canal. I decided to leave that. That skin is not going to cause the patient an issue. Sometimes less is more. When you've got a very nervous client, you don't want to prolong the procedure any more than is required, and that skin is not going to cause, as I said, any symptoms to the patient. It's well best to leave that alone. We're now doing the left ear, so the left ear was a lot more impacted, a lot more occluding. The ear canal was slightly narrower near the entrance as well, as the entrance itself is, most ear canals are more of a rugby shape or an American football shape, so it's more oval than it is circular. But with this particular client, the entrance itself was quite elongated. That oval was a bit more oblique. You can see the patient's got a lot of dry skin in the ear canal. That's quite common in elderly patients. With elderly patients, you do tend to find the ear canal is quite dry and also the wax is quite dry. And both of those factors can lead to an impaction of earwax. Wax generally migrates on its own accord, but if you've got a lot of dry skin in the ear canal and the wax itself is dry, you do get a lot of friction between the two, causing a build-up of earwax. I managed to remove what we call the lateral segments of earwax. So lateral means nearer to the entrance. We're now dealing with the wax that's more medial, more impacted against the eardrum. When you do have hard earwax, it can be quite difficult getting a suction grip. And when the wax is this deep, it is also quite challenging to use other instruments like an ear hook or a Jobson horn. The idea here is trying to bring this wax closer to the entrance, bring it forwards, which will then allow me to use a Jobson horn or an ear hook to get in and behind the wax. The wax is also slightly matted, as you can see where I'm just tugging the wax there, there's a few loose hairs that has adhered to the wax, and that again makes getting a suction grip much more difficult. I managed to bring this wax probably about 1 centimetre towards the entrance, and I believe in a moment I'm going to go in with an ear hook. The problem is when you've got a hard boulder of wax like this, sometimes when you use an ear hook or a Jobson horn, you couldn't accidentally push this boulder of wax further in the ear and against the eardrum, so we do have to be slightly careful here. So I'm just trying to bring it a bit more further forwards. It's a bit of a gap there at the top, and I'm now going in with the St. Bart's ear hook, trying to get in behind that boulder. However, the space is still not there, and it actually did push the wax slightly further in. Therefore, I'm using the Solner suction probe again, trying to get myself a grip, bringing this wax slightly further forwards, and I believe in a moment I'm going to use a Jobson horn. And what I'm going to do with the Jobson horn is trying to get almost stab the Jobson horn into the center of this piece of wax and then leverage and extract the earwax. And here we go, we've got the Jobson horn. So I'm not attempting to get in and behind the wax in this case, I'm just trying to stab the center part of the segment of wax, almost slicing it in half and bringing that forwards. You can see the patient's still got quite a fair bit of wax in there, and it has been in there for a number of years. Sometimes with wax buildup, patients don't realise that there is a build-up there because it's a gradual change. And with anything gradual, it only dawns upon you quite suddenly at times. Similar to people who suffer from hearing loss, most people who suffer from hearing loss have probably had a hearing loss for about 10 to 15 years before they actually realise, and that's because their hearing has gradually over the years deteriorated, and it kind of becomes the norm for them. See here, I've managed to get a suction grip here, fortunately, and I've removed this big boulder of wax. See, there's a bit of skin attached there, and you would have thought that was it. That's all the wax. We've cleared the ear, but there's another piece there, very medial against the eardrum, but came out quite easily in the end. And you can see the eardrum is intact, healthy. You've got a light reflex there. And similarly to his right ear, as I extract the endoscope, you will see some dry skin coat in the ear canal. If you remember, I made reference to it right at the beginning. The patient was very nervous, and I didn't want to really add to any anxiety that he had prior to having the procedure done. So we're going to leave that. It's not going to cause him any symptoms. Sometimes less is more. We don't want to remove wax for our own ego and trying to remove every little speck of wax, because that can have adverse effects for the patient. He may then find that uncomfortable and he may not return. Our duty as an earwax removal specialist, a clinical ear care specialist, is to relieve the patient from their symptoms, which we achieved in this case. I hope you enjoyed that video, guys, and you're all having a relaxing Sunday. I hope none of you suffer from Monday blues tomorrow.